Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Jordan with Conquering Trading and Investing, and we're getting ready for our live session today. And it looks like so far it's been a big one. We've had a couple of things. We've had what looks to be a flip-flop in as far as how the relations in the trade war are going. And we also have a big miss here on the ADP non-farm employment change. I thought this was going to be pretty much a non-event, but it was such a large miss. It came in about 50% below the estimate. And this is often a good measure of what's to expect on Friday's non-farm employment change, which you could see has a forecast of 186,000. So we'll see. We'll see how that comes in on Friday. There is a big number coming up at 10 o'clock a.m. in just 1 hour. And that's going to be the ISM manufacturing PMI. And we could see the dollar weakness. We could see that reverse, and then the market looking forward. We're going to find out what's going on right now. We're going to take a look at the charts and see what we could get ourselves into. Before we get started, overnight there were a couple of setups that I was interested in on, as we discussed yesterday, on both the New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc, and also the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. And I didn't get into either one of them. And so I'm going to be looking and assessing this morning during this session and see what my game plan is. You could see here, this was beautiful. We came all the way down pretty close to our ideal buy zone over here. But we'll take a look at them and see what's possible. I know I'm still interested in seeing how I could get into those trades. Howard, good morning. Mima, Blair, glad to see all of you here today. Hope you're all doing well. So let's see what's going on. We're going to first just take a quick look at all the pairs. I want to just get a feel for really what is happening. And then we could reassess more towards the market opening and then ultimately towards those ISM numbers. So a lot going on. It's going to be a busy morning. Let's start with the DXY. I just browsed at that really quick and saw that she is falling through all of this last support we had over here. And now let's see which, I see the Euro US dollar is at a resistance level. This is a minor level here. I wouldn't really call it too much. I think we have some more downside potential over here. We would start getting interested once we reached around 97.24 in that area, more or less. I see we're going to have a gap up on the equity markets. Gold is interesting. Let's see what we can do here with gold. Again, I'm just going to first take a quick look at all of these currency pairs just to get a feel what's going on. Gold has just been, I guess, shaken back and forth, whipsawed right around this resistance level. This looks like it's still shaping up for a short if we get a surprise number to the upside on the ISM and we start seeing this move reverse. Then gold is still looking like it has the potential for some downside movement. So I'll be watching that. Euro US dollar is also up near this resistance, this really important level for the pair. It has been resistance up here, support multiple times, and we're at this level again. Again, if we wind up clearing this level, at that point, I'll be looking for longs. We have to clear it right now. There's a lot of overhead resistance. I'm not looking to short this pair, not with the trend up as it is right now. You can see that on the daily, on the 8-hour. Once we broke this trend line here, I'm focused on the buy side, but once we clear this resistance, right now I'm on the sidelines waiting to see if she could pull off this next big move up. US dollar, Japanese yen. I'm assuming we had a lot of whipsaw here also after the ADP numbers. She seems to be holding up against this this lower channel here of this rising wedge, and this becomes interesting. Let's see here on the 8-hour what she looks like. All right. Well, either way, I just need to get a feel, and that's what I'm doing right now. Let's see, US dollar, Canadian dollar coming outside. Finally, Canadian dollar is picking up a little strength versus the dollar. It's broken outside of this trend line. When it gets down to here, when it gets down to this double support, this trend line support and this support here that we have at the bottom of this blue box, that looks very interesting to look for a long on this trade, on this pair, if price is able to resume and turn around. That's one to watch now. That looks great. She came right down to our first weaker trend line support and has bounced off it. Wasn't able to take any trades during London. You know, sometimes I really wanted to. I was really looking forward to it. Sometimes things don't line up. I was not able to take any trades last night. And I wish I had gotten into the ones we were looking at last night and the ones that I was focused on. New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc, New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, euro, Japanese yen. Are we seeing a breakout of pound pairs this morning? Wow. Look at this. I'm not sure what has triggered this, but we're seeing a breakout on pound pairs across the board. If anyone has any idea what has developed, I'm interested to know. Please share with us. So again, we seem to be having a weak dollar right now. We do have the non-ISM numbers coming up at 10 o'clock Eastern time. That's the last number the market needs to get out of the way before Friday's non-farm payrolls. The plan now, obviously, I'm interested to know what was the trigger on this. And after I know that, if this lines up, we will look. It looks like a valid breakout. We'll look to see how to get into those trades. I myself don't know why yet that the pound is taking off as it is. I'm curious to see if it is all technical or there was some type of development that in the upcoming election next on the 12th, whether or not a certain party is expected now to go ahead and have a clean margin of victory. I'm interested in finding that out this morning. You got to look how price is reacting off of support. You see here the Swiss franc. Dollar is weak today, and this is still looks like it's basing out around this support down here. That's interesting to note. No man's land. You might see this resume downwards. This current risk off continues, you might see that the Australian dollar continues to appreciate and pick some up. If she's able to come down here off of this support right here and resume down outside of here, this area, that looks like a good trade. This is also very interesting here. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. You got the break. We're trying to get back up into this channel over here. Watch to see what happens here. We'll watch to see if it's rejected. And if it starts resuming downwards, that also opens up the possibility of the short side. And New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, I want to take a look at them really with you, and the New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. We'll do that now together. Then we're going to come back around and see what our possible plays London was the session to enter. I hope some of you were able to get some nice trades off during the London session. Yep. I think there's a possibility gold will trade down here. That's one that obviously we started off the live stream talking about and noting that it's possible here to get a short off on gold if this resistance is rejected. It has not yet really held cleanly. And if price resumes downward, then gold looks like nice, but it could go either way right now. It's sitting at a support and resistance level. It's definitely not giving any indication one way or the other, and it could go either way at this point. You got to wait for an entry signal to get into there. I would not take a trade on this before finding out what's going to happen at the 10 o'clock numbers. The ISM non-manufacturing numbers. So it does look like it appears that we are now making progress on the trade deal, but we really looked at that yesterday, and it is the base case that we expected was going to happen. It looks like taking a trade now here looks like it could be a really good thing. Let's see. I hope I haven't missed it. Meaning I hope there's still a possibility to get into it at these nice levels. So obviously the entry for me would have been right around over here during London. Again, I wasn't able to place any orders. What do I do now? Well, I have to wait to see what develops later this morning. Things tend to not move straight up and down, and I'm just going to have to wait. I'm not going to chase after it here. If price comes back towards where the entry would have been, I'll consider taking a look at it then, either at that point, or I will wait again for another possible entry onto this pair. I'm very interested in both New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, and Swiss franc. Same thing here. Entry was during London. We're close to, we're not too far away. I might have an opportunity to backfill and get into this. If I get into either one of these trades, my stop loss is going to be tight on both of them. It'll simply be at the lowest price point minus 1 pip of this trigger bar right here during London with this long wick and then entry. Okay, you see you had the bears trying to go counter trend, and then the bulls did take control. We got a lot of things on our side. Again, I do believe that we're going to have some type of resolution, some type of ceasefire phase 1 deal. Things are setting up. I don't think the December tariffs will go on. If they do, I'll be surprised. And at that point, it will be risk on like crazy. But until then, we got some opportunities here. That's a good question as far as long-term on the dollar and also on the euro US dollar. Let's take a look at them both. So I'm going to start with the euro because it's kind of clear and easy for me. All right. So as soon as we had this trend line break, that was like, okay, now we're looking to the bullish side. You could see also at that same exact time, and we'll get into just kind of longer term speculation on the dollar itself. Right here, when the trend line broke, you see the true trend also turned positive. Okay. Didn't want to take any type of entries long here, even though you had some signals, because there was resistance right above it. The risk to reward was even less than 1-to-1. So I was waiting, and I'm still waiting if the bulls are able to regain this level here. If the bulls are able to regain this level, trade above it on a retest of the broken resistance to hold the support, and then as price resumes upwards, I will take a position. And reason being, because then it becomes a nice trade. Let me show you why. First thing I'm looking at, if that happens, I have my first resistance to really look at somewhere around here, right where my mouse is right now, right? And at that point, we'll look how price reacts. We'll move our stop loss. So the initial risk here is a little better than 1-to-1 or about 1-to-1. My stop loss would be down here. All right. And then from there, if we're able to break through that resistance, we got a lot of upside potential into this blue box area over here. That becomes a very nice trade. There's a lot of room to the upside. It looks good, but right now this resistance could still hold, and until it's broken and proven otherwise, I don't know. I'm looking for it to hold. I'm looking for price then to retrace back downwards. Watch what happens over here on this level, and we'll see if that one holds. So this is more or less just waiting to see what develops and waiting for a better possibility of an entry. And we're at an inflection point. We're trading at this big resistance. That's a really important point. We're gonna watch. It'd be nice to get a breakout and then be able to look for a long trade. That's more of a high probability setup. That's what I'm interested in. Do I think long term that we're going to see a change in the dollar? No, I do not. I absolutely do not think that we're going to see. I think we're going to see maybe the dollar trades down into here. I believe it'll catch a bid down here. I believe that we're going to see a retest up here at some point, at least up in this area. And the reason for this is, the dollar is the world's reserve currency right now. All debt across the world is dominated in dollars. And although there is absolutely a play for people to de-dollarize, we did a video about that. And you're seeing that whether it's through China, Russia, the BRICS nations are trying to, slowly develop an alternative system to SWIFT so they could settle outside of the US dollar. These things take a lot of time to develop. And right now, everyone's debt is dominated in dollars and they have to pay the interest on that. They need dollars. Jeff Snyder, if you Google Jeff Snyder and Eurodollar, provides some excellent work into what the Eurodollar system is and explains how we are seeing a dollar shortage. And normally when we see a dollar shortage, it's overseas. This one has been domestic in the US, and that's why the Fed is doing all this repo action. Right now that's then you also have people who do think we're, towards the end of a 7-year cycle in the dollar, and that we're going to see a turning point here, and that we should. I don't foresee that happening yet, personally. I think a good way to do that would be pull up bear with me 1 second, pull up the True Trend BTC. Right, but before I would even consider seeing the dollar rolling over on the daily time frame, I would be looking at the True Trend BTC having a trend change. Right now, it's look at it. It's still trading nicely. So you're picking a top here if you're looking for it to roll over. Don't forget also you have the US dollar is still, and we're supposed to be on hold right now. The Fed is still paying the highest yield, and a lot of people, a lot of traders prefer to be holding dollars, especially since other currencies have just simply been appreciating really far against it. Do I, at the same time, it does appear that we're seeing the Australian dollar perhaps getting ready to appreciate. We have been seeing the New Zealand dollar appreciate. Are we just going to see this looks like more of a short-term counter trend move in the dollar move to me? I'm not yet thinking that any type of important level has been broken where we should be looking to the downside. I would be interested in having some type of trend lines in, so we have something to kind of gear off of. Well, that's kind of interesting, right? It's not down here. Or is it? Well, going into today, I'm expecting that we're actually going to see the dollar turn around on these numbers up here at 10 o'clock. We'll see. I think the dollar is going to I don't think the dollar is rolling over here, personally. Yep. And I think it's going to be the best of the bunch for a while to come. Again, I believe just like longer term play, since we're kind of focused here more on the bigger picture, any type of reprieve on this dollar strength, I believe is an opportunity to get short again. For example, if you see the euro trade up, back towards 1.13 or higher, this is an excellent opportunity long term to get short. The Eurozone is a disaster, a complete disaster, right? Italy alone is really weighing and dragging them down. You have Germany in recession. What are they going to do? Same thing with the Australian dollar. If you get any type of reprieve here, where you have any type of intermediate term appreciation, what's happening with the Chinese economy? It's not looking good. It's not going to be looking good next year, right? The Australian economy is super dependent on the Chinese economy. So although, yeah, and if we get a breakout, if this breakout holds here, we could see some further moves, definitely. But getting up here gives a better opportunity to get short. I think the dollar is still going to be king for quite a while. I'm personally not looking for any type of rollover, but we'll see. We'll see. It could happen. My mind's open for anything. So where's the focus now today? If anyone got into any good trades overnight, I'm interested to know, to follow them. I wish I did. I was not able to trade. And when you're not able to, you have to stand aside. So the Canadian dollar here seems to be, I'm waiting for it to get towards this area to look for longs. All right, so we still got a little ways to go. The euro US dollar, I'm waiting to see what happens here. Right, I need a break up to be considered longs. Gold to the short side could develop later on today after the 10 o'clock ISM numbers. I will watch that. Euro, Japanese yen, back towards this resistance right here. Good honor. I wish I got into this trade. Again, I wasn't able to. And I'm not doing anything right now at all. There's nothing to do here. The only trade that I consider chasing is the New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc, and the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. If they backfill it all, I'll be looking to get in. And if they don't, then I'm just waiting for the next pullback to consider getting in. Next pullback for me will be when the entry CCI trades pulled away from the trend, and then I'll reassess. But if price is able to retrace a little bit sometime during the next, before the London close today, I'll be looking to see if I want to place any type of orders to get into those trades. It's about 5 minutes before the U.S. equities open. It looks like they are taking back a lot of the gains, the losses yesterday, opening up about 0.5%. They were there though. I mean, the ones that I was focused in yesterday was all three. The euro Japanese yen, looks gold. At least here, if you got into this trade, exactly as we talked about it yesterday, you're just managing a trade now at resistance. It's the most beautiful place to be in. And same thing with the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, and New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. They're not so well into profit, but they are. And it's a lot easier managing a trade that goes into profit right away. This becomes interesting so shaky here if somebody spikes down, but we are trading up towards this resistance area. What's going to happen? You're seeing this is largely, I believe, could be wrong, I believe this is largely having to do with the risk off sentiment today. There was a big move earlier on Bitcoin. It was about a 1 hour $600 candle. Does anyone have any idea what happened so far on the pound? Is there any news that hit that caused this breakout, or was this pure technical in nature? Beautiful. I just looked. I actually got both those trades. I trade an automated system that just focuses on the pound US dollar, the pound Japanese yen, and the euro Japanese yen. And those trades were entered in 3 pieces, with the first order taking profit on both those already this morning, and now have 2 trades well into profit. But I'm curious what happened here. Gold, there's a question. Snowy, let's take a look at gold, and that's a good one to focus in on, because I believe that it's going to offer a possibility of a trade. It could go either way. We're focused here on the 8-hour, but let me just jump down to the daily. And this is where my attention is going to be this morning, later this morning, after 10 o'clock, after the non-manufacturer and ISM numbers come out. Boom. What are we looking at here? We'll see right now prices at this resistance level. Whether it's resistance or support, it's kind of unknown right now. We had this marked as resistance yesterday. It looked like it broke, and being that this is a perfect doji actually right now. It's very undecided at this resistance / support level, whichever it may be. We'll find out later today, and that's why it's a good place to trade it. If price resumes downwards here, let's say if prices, starts making lower lows here after the 10 o'clock numbers, and we start trading below 1475 after the numbers, I'm looking to go short here. I'm looking to go short because we are being rejected by a resistance level at that point. Adversely, if we regain this level and hold above it, I'm not going to enter on the breakout above it, but I will wait for a retest. This becomes a beautiful trade to the upside if it happens. We have a nice risk-reward ratio just to get to the point of moving your stop to break even. And then we do have a lot of upside potential all the way up into here. So this becomes a nice trade to the upside if it happens, if price takes us there. Again, I will look to play this morning a trade of a rejection to the downside. I will not yet look to enter long. I will wait for the dust to settle a little bit, perhaps looking overnight during London or tomorrow during New York to see if I get long on it. But if we break out to the upside, I'm still then waiting for, actually, that looks good to the upside right now. If it does resume upwards, I already have my entry CCI pulled back in this new uptrend developing. But I'm not going to take it, only because I don't have a clear level in mind of where I'd want to take that entry. So I will I will fall back. I will wait for if price does take out this level to first come back, and then I'll wait for my entry CCI to pull back again before I look to enter long. I'm going to give it some room and wait for it to develop, just because I don't see a nice clear entry to the upside. Interesting. I mean, so that's kind of more like that was just the market looking for any reason to make that breakout, which it did. So I know some of you have a really good feel for what's going on with these elections. That's really important, and maybe the market's pricing in something that's just benefiting I'm not familiar, so I can't talk about. I'm never going to talk about something that I don't believe that I should share on. But I'm interested to know more. I hope to learn from any of you who do. As far as the DXY, the dollar, the euro, we got to make it above this resistance. If she's able to, is an important level for the euro up there. If she's able to make it above there, again, I don't play the breakout itself, but then I really get interested in looking for longs. Until then, I'm not interested right now. Again, I expect this resistance to hold until it's broken. And then if it's broken, we get excited for looking for longs because it's a really trade with good potential. Be really happy if we break up here and then we're able to look at getting longs. Right now, it's more about seeing if we're rejected here and then reassessing if we're going to look for an entry off of this resistance with a tight stop down here, or if we blow through this resistance and then get another opportunity closer to this support down here, because we do have support down here from this trend line. We have support from over in this area as well. So there's good support in this area down here where I would be happy to look for a long, because if we trade back down into the channel, I know I'm wrong. I have a really nice risk to reward. It's here where it's kind of iffy. This level down here where I don't feel too good about it. Blair, I used I do use the ATR for on automated systems for stop loss and take profits, because it really helps with the current volatility of the market. You can't use like for example a 50 pip stop loss, because depending on what the average range is of the pair, it's kind of irrelevant, right? So for example, you could have, right now we have very small narrow ranges, but as the market starts expanding, right, those ranges will be increasing. So if you were using, for example, half ATR as a stop loss, right now, if the ATR of the euro US dollar is 60 pips, right, then you have a 30 pip stop loss. And then like if the euro starts expanding and you're coming out looking at 150 pip average true range, now your stop loss is 75 pips using half ATR if that's what you used. ATR is excellent. I do use it with automated systems. I'm sorry, you said ADR. No, I don't use the ADR. Excuse me. I love the ATR. I don't. Look at that. Sorry. Panero, good morning. Interesting. So we had some nice PMI numbers. So some good news, some good fundamental news out of the pound that helped push her also. Yep. She's trading at a fib. I primarily focus, support resistance. They show everything. That's the supply and the demand, and then our chart patterns, pricing in the psychology of the traders. If we get a big miss later today, then you'll see this level break. Otherwise, I think I think this number, the market's going to come back down to here before we saw any type of breakout to the upside. I have a feeling the dollar is going to hold here, is what I'm getting at. We'll see. And that's why I'm looking towards, gold's taking off without me. We're about 7 minutes into the open. I'm not chasing it to the downside. There's absolutely no way. I want to see what those numbers come in at first. And I'm not taking any positions before these numbers come in another 20 minutes, 22 minutes. We saw, we're seeing on all pound pairs, the pound is really having a beautiful day today, breaking out. So, and we're also seeing yen weakness across the board as well, which lined up well for the pound, Japanese yen. We're also seeing that dollar weakness. And you see the breakouts occurring here. Finally, this range was 2 months, so long. Finally getting the breakout. What do you do? How do you get in? You don't chase them up here. That's for sure, right? Now you got to wait for a pullback. Finally get rid of that. If you're looking at the pound Japanese yen, you're waiting for a pullback, a test of this breakout. You could see that here you find you had congestion up here. This was hanging out above the range. That wasn't happening on the pound US dollar. The pound US dollar was below the range, but both of them broke to the upside today. So now you're looking for the entry CCI to come back down against that trend and for price to come down, test the support. And then if it starts going back up, you have an excellent trade because your stop loss is so well defined. It's below the breakout. If you want to play it really safe, you would have it down over in this area. As we get to it, as it looks like it's really setting up for an entry, we'll take a look at the levels together, see where is the best place to place the stop loss. And as far as upside potential, you got a lot of room to the upside. So I'm not chasing it. These look great. I think we did. I think there was a slight reaction. I looked right before the numbers, and I think the euro US dollar was trading. Let's see. It was trading right down around here, around 1.107. And then right after the numbers, it was trading up about 20 pips or so. And now even a little more, 30 pips. So I think there was a little bit of reaction. But the market is here. You can see it here. No, whereas the numbers come in on the DXY. It broke down. It took out the support on the break of the numbers, on the release of those numbers. I think that the market is waiting in the next 20 minutes for the next set of numbers to come out. And then after that, I think I think these numbers are going to come in line, right? If there's a big miss, then you will really see the dollar sell off. These numbers come in line. What the market is, as I think is going to do, is just kind of hold steady and be looking towards these numbers on Friday to see that they confirm today's big miss or not. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't know. We're gonna figure it out. I mean, just by watching what happens. And markets, I mean, You have to give it to us. We definitely had the read yesterday on the market on that what seemed to be a bluff and looks like a bluff coming out from President Trump. And we've kind of reversed that today. We still got a lot of work to do. There's a lot of uncertainty. We're going to find out a little bit clearer picture in about 15 minutes, and then we'll see what happens. Those pound pairs are something to stalk right now for the upcoming sessions. I still want to see if I could get into these New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, and Swiss franc trades. I would like to be into them. And for that to happen, I need some type of retracement, or I need to wait it out until the next possible entry. Right? Do I wait it out, see if we get a test down here with the entry CCI pull back again along this trend line, which has been holding. Price has not closed below it. I'm not sure yet, but I do want to get into them. I believe it's going to be worth following these pound pairs, but you still have the election coming next week. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see what's going on with the Canadian dollar. I only saw, I guess it was a Forex Live last night, some headline that the Bank of Canada was meeting. That's coming up at 10 o'clock as well, huh? So, normally, first of all, let me preface, I don't know. I'm not focused here on the Canadian dollar. Now, obviously, it's the statement that really is important. I'm not focused in on what's going on, so I can't really be much of a guide here. All I could do is after we find out what happened and what the statement is we could take a look then and find out what it is. I think it's more of a dollar story right now. You are seeing finally, we looked at the US dollar, Canadian dollar earlier. We are seeing finally the Canadian dollar putting a little pressure on the US dollar. Yesterday, when the dollar was weak, the Canadian dollar was not making any gains. Finally, it has here. As far as this pair is concerned, what I'm looking for is if price could come down and test this area. And then if it retraces up, I think that's an excellent long trade to take on this. Double support, trend line support, this area, the bottom of the blue box is support, things lined up with the true trend. And that would be a setup that I would be looking to take. What does that look like on the 8 hours? The true trend already rolled over. No, it's still holding up. So it'd be nice to have that Bank of Canada rate statement out of the way, but I don't really know. I can't be much of a help there. I think that the oil is, if China and the US are able to come to some type of deal that's good for the global economy, I think this is a risk off type play that we're seeing today. And if she's able to get up just a little bit higher, right, then the bulls look like they're in good shape. Long term on oil, I'm very bearish. Long term. And that's because I'm very bearish on the global economy over the next couple of years. Right? We'll probably be trading back down towards, 24, 25, 26, 27 within the next couple of years. That's my guess. There's a lot of talk right now about the stimulus that the Bank of Japan is looking to add. I believe it's, I don't have the numbers exactly. I don't know if it was $150 billion. I'm not exactly sure of the number, but a decent amount of stimulus. That should also help to weaken the Japanese yen. And if we're seeing any type of risk off environment, we might see that really show up in the yen pairs. I think that's why you're seeing Australian dollar still lagging here, huh? I also want to look at the euro Australian dollar. It looked to me like we have the possibility of the Australian dollar, if it's able to go ahead and reject this resistance right here to the downside. I like this trade. Hanero, my thoughts are that Trump wants to get reelected, that it's not a deal. If their phase one, as they call it, if they sign anything, which is just really China buying some greatly needed agriculture products and pigs, which they have a severe shortage of, and then the U.S. calls it a deal. It's just to help him get reelected. It doesn't really solve any of the real problems. And China's in dire straits right now. They're really suffering. Their economy is on the verge, and they need it. So I think both sides, it's just really in their best interest to kind of like put up some type of fake deal. It doesn't solve anything. And then I think if Trump gets reelected, he's going to come on really hard and aggressive towards China. That's just the way I see things unraveling. I'm going to be very surprised if December 15th that they escalate and put tariffs on. The 12 minutes here until we hit these ISM non-manufacturing numbers. My gut is that they're going to come in pretty much in line, and everyone be aware, if there is a big miss, you will definitely see the dollar selling off here further after the big miss here earlier this morning. But that's why markets are not taking out any levels right now, any further levels. They're waiting for these numbers to get out of the way. Gold is where I want to focus going into these numbers. Right, gold is at this really important point. This resistance level, is it going to hold or is it going to break to the upside? I don't know yet. I'm focused in on gold. I think it's at a good point to look for a trade. Yep, you got it right. That's where I believe the market is. It's as long as there's not a big miss here, I think then the market all of a sudden is going to be looking to what happens over here on Friday. And I believe that if we come in line here, I don't think we'll see any follow through on this dollar weakness. Follow through here. I don't think we'll see any follow through on this dollar weakness. I think the market will then wait to see what happens here, unless there's a big miss. If there's a big miss here, I do think that we take out these next levels on the dollar before here. Do I think it'll rise back up? No, I don't know. I'm kind of trading things as they happen, And right now, Snowy, all I'm seeing is gold is being, it hasn't yet broken this resistance level. There's the possibility that gold is rejected off this resistance level here still. And there's the possibility that happens. And if she starts retracing down, yeah, I'm looking down here. If we trade down at this level, I'm not looking for gold then to rise off it. I will only move my stop to break even, and I'll look how price reacts around here to see if it starts stalling at this little bit of support level, or if she blows through it, I don't know what's going to happen. But over here, once price reaches this area, I'll move my stop to break even if I get short. If I do get short, we'll find out in a little while. And then when price comes down towards this support level here, I'll watch how she reacts, move my stop to break even, give it a little bit of room. If she starts stalling out and retracing upwards, I'll take profit. If she pushes through, then I'm going to wait and see how price reacts down here. Another $10 lower. And again, give it room to see if it'll break down. As far as to the upside, yeah, if gold could make and get above this resistance here, if gold does prove itself and the bulls take this resistance level, I'm just looking for the first pullback opportunity, the first test of this broken resistance as support to get long, and I'll be happy long. So I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm only going to trade what's happening. And right now we're at this level right here. So this is an important level. Either it's going to be rejected and then I'm going to take it to the downside and see what happens. Or if we're able to actually gain this level, then I'm waiting for the first pullback, looking to enter it, and we'll see what happens. Hey, David, welcome. Glad you're here with us. I hope you've seen a replay or two, and now you're able to join us for the live chat. Glad you're here with us. We have about 7 minutes to these PMI numbers. US dollar, Japanese yen. Will we see some type of further weak? Where will we see the most weakness if we get bad numbers? I think the euro will actually on a bad print take this level. Will we see the Japanese yen come back down and test that support down there around 108.21? That's a big move. That's a 50 pip move. I'm focused in on gold. Let's take a couple of minutes here. Let's see what's crossing the wires. All right. Had that marked right. That's support, no? Pound Japanese yen extending out towards the highs. Again, if you're not already long this trade, do not chase after it. Do not chase after it. Wait for the pullback. We'll be looking at this together in the upcoming sessions because I'm interested in getting long now. All right, we got another 3 minutes or so until those numbers come out. Again, expectations, they're going to come within line. If they do, I just assume that we're not going to see any further weakness in the dollar. The market's really going to start looking towards there. That's just my preconceived notion. That's kind of what I'm laying out as my base case to happen. Whatever happens is what we're going to trade off of. But I'm always envisioning what is going to happen. We had a nice, beautiful, and you have the Bank of Canada also in 3 minutes with a rate decision. They're expected to be on hold. Whether or not you see the Canadian dollar firm up off there or not, I'm not sure, to be honest. I can't be much of a help. But you're seeing the pound making gains across the board today. So it's more of a pound story right now. We'll see what happens after the Bank of Canada gets out of the way and what the Canadian dollar starts doing. You could extend this, and you see you're trading at right towards resistance right now up here. So if I was long this pair, I would be taking profits before the meeting right now at this resistance, plain and simple. But clearly, you're not looking to take a long up here. There's no way. You need to wait and see what happens. Get down closer to the breakout area, and then look for a re-entry. Right now, this is a take profit area. Yeah, if there's a big miss, Hanero, if there's a big miss on these numbers right now, we will see a lot of dollar weakness across the board. I believe that these next levels will be taken out, and then that's when gold gets great. If gold is able to regain this level, and then we could look towards taking some longs here. The entry should have the short entry, if you were taking it, was after we wicked up here and came back down on this 8 hour. It's about $1 up from where we're trading right now. So I want to see what, I'm not going to chase it down. I want to see what the numbers are and then how price reacts, and give it some time before looking for an entry if I do go short. Wow. That's insane. We'll look at that chart after these numbers. So if these numbers have come out, I'm guessing they're just perfectly in line. Oh. Euro's taking a look at that level. Australian dollar looks pretty strong. What's happening with the Australian dollar, US dollar now with these numbers? Looks like she's holding this area. Looks pretty good here. It's a slight miss, right? You don't want to get sucked in off that initial reaction. Let's give it a little time to breathe in the market. You know, it's the initial reaction that gets a lot of traders caught off on the wrong side. Let's see how the market actually processes this. I'm looking more closely at the Australian dollar. When we looked at the pound Australian dollar, and although Blair, you said there was like a 196 pip move to the upside, I also see that the pound Australian dollar is really just towards the top of this range. Why the other pairs it's broken out against. So that's showing to me that the Australian dollar is putting us up some strength, right? So this looks interesting here. What does the euro Australian dollar look like? Well, the euro is pretty strong right now. The dollar is what's weak. And what does that look like on the pound Canadian dollar? Yep, just holding up well. All right. This is good. This is towards an interesting level. If this holds right here, this is the area I'll be looking to go long off of. All right. All right. This is good. I have this support all the way down here as long as price stays above there. As if it makes a higher high than a previous 8-hour price bar, I'll be looking to go long. I'll watch it. If this support level is taken out to the downside, then I'm really interested in also getting short this pair. That's going to be really nice. That opens up a possible move over at least around to this area down here. So if we do break out this support down here to the downside, I'll then be looking to get short here. Otherwise, I'm looking to get long, and that this support is going to hold. That's interesting. What's going on? Are we seeing an actual reversal after those numbers? I mean, it's a miss, but those numbers are pretty close to being in line. It's not a... All right. So it's 5 minutes since the numbers. It looks like the market is going to be looking towards these numbers here next, right? If you had a slight miss and it wasn't an opportunity for to go ahead and take an advantage of another level, and you saw the fake out up here, all right? So just stand aside right now, everyone. Wait and watch. Canadian dollar, if you are day trading, is obviously somewhere you might want to look. That's really moving. These pound pairs look good. We just need to give them some room here. We don't want to chase the upside if you're not in them. Oil is trading strong today, but it's trading up at this resistance, right? If you have the US dollar, Canadian dollar trading at a support, if price resumes upwards and gives me an entry, right, during the right session, I'll assume that this is going to be rejected right around here as well. I don't know that oil is going to continue this way or not. It's had a big move up and is not trading at resistance. We're going to see what happens, right? It's got a lot of work to do right now to keep going. If it breaks out above this area, then it's got some nice moves to the upside, but it's got heavy resistance right now. It's entering a supply zone. It's entering this resistance. It's got this trend line resistance. So it's got work to do. And the US dollar, Canadian dollar, right? It looks like right now, Canadian dollar is in control, right? But it's got to take out this support level. It's got double support here. I don't know what this is going to look like in the next 8 and 16 hours. So the only way I will enter this trade would be if the support holds and if price resumes upward by making a higher high than a previous 8-hour price bar. At that point, that's saying to me that support held and now price is reversing. That would be my earliest indication that I want to go ahead and take that trade. So I'm not looking to buy this as price trades into the support. No, I'm not looking for that. And that could just blow through. There's a lot of momentum right now against the dollar. And as you noted, probably would be positive for the Canadian dollar if the central bank is on hold. And if they noted that they plan on being on hold for the immediate future. So I'm just waiting and watching what would develop. But if we're at a support level, if the support holds and price trades up, I'm in it to the long side, because now I have a very good risk to reward, right? It doesn't have to work out every time, but if I'm taking those type of trades with really nice risk to reward ratios, then overall I'm profitable. Australian dollar, Japanese yen, and also dollar holding the lows. I saw that playing out on gold and on the euro US dollar. Again, if there wasn't a big miss, there's not a big miss. We were looking for the market then to turn to over here. It's too soon though. It's only been 10 minutes since the number's out. Let's see what the market does. If you start seeing the euro US dollar all of a sudden making new highs for the day, okay, then all bets are off. We are definitely taking out. But right now it looks like she's stalling out up here. It definitely does. Gold looked like it was putting on some gains, stalling out. So does anyone perceive before those Friday numbers that gold is able to take this level to the upside, or that the euro is able to take this level to the upside? I would say by the London close today, if they haven't done it, that's not going to happen. We'll see. Australian dollar, Japanese yen. For a long time, this pair has been lagging. It's been the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. Speaking of which, what is happening? Seeing some follow through. I really want in. We're still kind of trading sideways here on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. You see that blue congestion zone, and we're still in it, just trading towards the upside of it, right? So I think it's a much better trade if you're able to go ahead and trade above this, and then on the pullback and test of this broken resistance of support, getting that trade to the upside. If you're able to do that, if you get past this little resistance up here, and it's from here all the way to here. So if you could get long in this area, even a break, still have a big 40 pips to the upside before we have some clearance. And then if price is able to go ahead and do that, then it becomes a nice trade with some nice move initially to the upside, before you even have to see what happens and if you get some further push. So this is something to just keep watching and following. There's no trade yet. You have overhead resistance, multiple areas, first at 74.60 and then again at 74.78. So right above, we got overhead resistance. And if we clear it, then she looks really good. So probably we're seeing the Canadian dollar making some nice gains now. Again, right before the central bank came out, we were saying this is a take profit area. This is not a short area, right? You're really trading against a lot of momentum on the pound, a strong uptrend, but you are trading at resistance. So if you had been long this pair, which I wasn't even on my radar, if you were long this pair, you were looking to take profits before those numbers came out, before the rate decision of the Bank of Canada came out. So what are you doing now? Well, right now I'd be on the sidelines and I'd be waiting to see where this pulls back to, and I would still be looking to go long. This pair is still in an uptrend. You got to get below this broken. This is support now. You got to get below this to really be looking for a short, and there's nothing to indicate that we're going to get down here anytime soon, because the momentum is with the pound. The pound is just broken out on multiple pairs across the board. And this firmness of the Canadian dollar might just give you an opportunity to be able to get long this pair. Not yet. You have the entry CCI up towards the true trend, both showing that they're overbought right now. So you don't want to look for a long here, but you're not looking to go counter trend and take a short here. It's looking good over here. It looks like the euro is taking out this resistance here. That looks good. That looks healthy. On a pull back here, that's an opportunity to get long here. That's something to keep watching. Things are developing. I didn't get any trades overnight. There's going to be plenty more. Australian dollar still holding strong here. Right at an entry point. Entry CCI pull back in the uptrend. Price making the higher high. After holding this and testing the support line. And not trading above this trend line over here. Got some nice room to the upside before you have to even think about taking profits. And a nice, my stop would be right over here, down at 0.68. This is a trade I'm interested in taking. I'm going to actually take a nibble right here while price is at entry. I like it. I'm going to take an entry right here, actually, right now. I like it. I see a couple of different resistance points up here. I have, and I've had this blue line here that's at 74, 60, call it. And then up here is definitely stronger, right around 74, 70. 78. Those, and I'll draw that in. That's where I also have mine. The numbers you're given. Pretty close. Again, we get above these levels. Once we're above here, then I'm looking for longs on the Australian Japanese yen. I'm not looking for longs right now inside this congestion area. Oil numbers coming out. What about the Australian dollar, US dollar? I'm right at entry right now. My entry is right here. You see the entry CCI pulled back in this uptrend, support tested, held, getting back above this other secondary trend line support. The entry is when price makes a higher high than the previous 8-hour price bar. I'm right at entry right now. And she's acting strong versus the dollar, even as we saw gold. I'm getting in here first, and then just give me one moment. So as far as me in this trade, and as far as TP, I have my stop loss is down below this price part right here. Okay, taking stop just below this support level over here and the last penetration of it. So my stop is in at 0.60802. Now, as far as the take profit, I don't have a take profit in here. As soon as we trade around 0.6878 right over here, put that in for me now. As price trades right around that area, I'll move my stop towards to break even on the trade, and I'll watch what happens over here. I'll watch how price reacts. I don't have a take profit in. If price stalls out and starts reversing, then I'll just take that profit off the table. I'm going to look to see and this probably won't be happening before we get those non-farm payrolls out of the way on Friday. But if we're able to take out this level to the upside, then I'm going to hold and reassess over here. But I always give the trade as much possibility to roam as it could have. So I have my stop losses in, but I'm looking for and to see how price reacts around resistance levels, to see when I'm long, to see whether I'm going to take profit or if I'm going to give it some room and hold. If they stall out and start reversing down, I take the money off the table. Usually when a resistance level is broken, it bursts through. Well, it depends. If I get stopped out later today, it's very short term. I don't think that will clear this level before Friday. So you're talking, probably a trade anywhere from 1 to 5 days, more or less. Depending on what happens. If we get a blowout miss on the non-farm payrolls, and then I always give the trade as much room as it'll take. So, generally speaking, a trade lasts a few days, but the potential is always there for it to give. I'm willing to take as much as it'll give. So the only numbers that I want, there are some big market. I don't trade in front of central bank rate decisions. Those are something that I'm really worried about. That would stop me from taking a trade. Nope. I also everything that we look at is not everything we look at. I don't trade oil. I don't trade the indexes. I trade gold, and I trade all. I'm right now looking specifically at the New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc, and the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. I missed the entries overnight on London. We looked at them yesterday. I wanted to get in them. I wasn't able to trade last night. And then that's why I missed these two. Otherwise, I would be in them. The only thing that I don't trade that we do look at is the indices and oil. I won't chase the trade. There's no way for me to get in right now. I have to wait for another opportunity. And if this is the start of what it looks like to be a nice move to the upside, there's going to be more opportunities to get in. Same thing with these breakouts on the pound US dollar. Looking good. This is actually nice. You have to look what's going to happen here. This is actually giving an opportunity to possibly get long the euro US dollar before this level is taken out. If we get down here, interest CCI is on its way towards now being oversold in this new uptrend. You have this support line over here. So, if this starts making higher highs, assuming this session continues to print as it does, and then you have a moment, you have the opportunity to look at getting long this pair with a pretty tight stop over here. The only thing is that the tighter you are with the stop like that, the more often they get hit. It makes better sense more often than not to get a nicer level for the stop loss and to trade a smaller size position, giving it room. You're just gonna, have a lot more wins that way. But it's something to take a look at. There seems to be a lot of other things developing on a lot of other pairs. Nevertheless, just want to watch what's happening and see if anything comes into play. So you have to watch then now. Is she going to take out that support? Oh, okay. Just wick down and back up. Again, this is one to watch during the London session. That's really interesting to note. Also here, she's getting back into the range. That looks good. Is the euro extending her gains now or trading back off? Trading back off. This also looks good if we do continue to peel off a little bit, get us reset. We have double support down here again. Alternatively, this level might hold. There's a lot of setups developing right now. This is a good time. I'm not expecting any breaks one way or the other now, right? This number came slightly negative, but more or less in line. Market's looking forward to what's going to happen here now. A break now the other way. You see we're at the bottom of this channel here. You see the true trend changed and the interest pulled back the other way, coming back up, testing this broken support over here as resistance. If she goes ahead and reverses down this way, well, you do have the support right there. If this is too bad, if the support wasn't there, that looked like it would have been a really good trade to the downside. That's what I'm expecting, is that we're going to be ranging until Friday. And it makes sense. How could we not? You might see further, as far as the dollar is concerned, you might see some further moves on Japanese yen pairs. You might see further weakness on them. You might see all these pairs: Australian dollar, British pound. What's the Canadian dollar doing now? Make some further gains. This should be nice. Have to look at all these yen pairs right now because of things once again are now shaping up towards some type of ceasefire. You might see some further yen weakness across the board. Let's trade this. Yeah, unless the support is broken, I'm not looking for the short side there. Gold is continuing to sell off here. Howard, I don't know if we're going to see a bounce of support or not on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. The possibility exists. We saw definitely this follow through all the way down, and the support was tested. It's bouncing off a little bit right now, but that's nothing. We could see a bounce off of or a break of support, and I'm not even sure when that will happen. But what I do know is that I'm happy to trade what I see, and if I'm not going to obviously look for a long right now. I'm only looking for a long while we're above the support over here. And the soonest I can envisioning that happen would be sometime during London. All right. If during London we were able to make a higher high than the previous price bar, that's a trade I'm interested in because my stop loss is the risk to reward is excellent. It's good. And therefore I like it. And adversely, if we do break, if the support gets broken, okay, then we'll start looking for trades to the downside. I won't take the break on the down. I won't take the breakdown, but I will look then. And that's why there's so much happening right now. We have all the pound pairs breaking out. So there are opportunities to possibly get in towards them. As you know, I'm looking at New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc, New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, to try to get back into those trades now that they look to be picking their direction and their side. This looks like a good opportunity as we come towards this level. I was watching gold this morning because it was at an important level, and I wanted to be able to get in. I couldn't get into the trade, so now I'm on the sidelines and I'm waiting, and I will wait. I'll wait for just a better entry, right? And things don't move straight up and down. And if we come back up and we take another look and reject it again off this resistance, well, then I have plenty of time to get short. I still like it. And as we're trading here now towards an important support level in the US dollar, Canadian dollar, until the support is broken, I expect it's going to hold, right? And if it breaks, then my stop is, it's at a good risk to reward level. So it's okay. Kind of stalling out. We're about 20 minutes to the London close. I don't expect or see, obviously, the dollar making any type of new lows today. It looks like we are just going to be hanging out and ranging back and forth until Friday. That's as far as the US dollar pairs are concerned. I like leaning here towards the yen pairs and shorting the yen. Interesting that the US dollar is making a move back into the range here. Still got a little work to do. Overhead resistance. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen probably is a pair to focus on. Again, you couldn't take this trade down here. You had the central bank earlier today. You're kind of in a really iffy spot. There's no way I would have took it, but what I could look at what happens now, and if this support is able to hold. There leaves the possibility to perhaps look at along here. That would like to see also that obviously the US dollar, Canadian dollar break that support. If that were to happen, to show me that the Canadian dollar is firming up across the board. Hey, Paul, how's it going? If anyone is focused in on something, want to take a look at it together, uh, that would be awesome. There is definitely a lot going on in the markets right now, and there's a lot of opportunity. Snowy, right now things are kind of settling down. Normally we go to about I'd say about 20 minutes after 11 close, about anywhere between 11:10, 11:20 Eastern time. Right now things are pretty slow. That's why I'm open to see if anyone has anything that they would like to dig in deeper to take a look at. Uh, I'm trying to figure something else out. At the same time, there's a lot of opportunity here developing in the markets, and I want to make sure that I have it all imprinted on my brain so that I'm able to act. Markets are moving. It seems like volatility is coming back into the markets. That is a good thing. I have to be honest, I showed a lot of discipline this earlier today. I wanted, before the numbers came out, to go ahead and look at putting a position on here short. And I was going to put my stop up over here, but it was outside of my parameters, which is why I did not do it. And it's just always really important to reinforce, uh, you know, I saw the trade, but it's outside of my trading parameters. So I didn't do it. And that's something definitely to be commended for. All right, let me see if we have any type of backfill here on the New Zealand dollar Swiss franc. As you can see, my entry would have been down over here. We're kind of close to it. What do I do now? That's a little too far past entry. I'm not chasing that one. 913, about 10 pips over the line. I'm going to have to wait and watch. I'm not doing anything. I don't. Good to be aware of the calendar. I don't think much of anything. I think we're want to look technical. This non-farm payrolls have not actually been something the market's been keying off for a while. I wonder if we got a big miss here that the markets would then start keying off at this number and it would become really into focus once again. This becomes interesting to me here, trading below this support over here. But it's still kind of sideways. Wait for the breakdown first. So I'm assuming that what I'm assuming is going to happen is that in about 10 minutes, anywhere in the next 10, 15 minutes, that the kind of reversal we've seen in the dollar is going to stall out. And that's it for today as far as this move. And we're going to see these pairs range back somewhere up in here. I don't think we're going to take out any levels, but I think that's going to be it as far as that dollar strengthening up a little bit. We'll see. I'm going to take a quick walkthrough again, just kind of review everything. Again, I guess the main focus right now for us is non-farm payrolls on Friday. You have to expect the market really is going to be looking towards that number after the big miss today on the ADP. This is one to watch overnight. US dollar, Canadian dollar, to see whether or not this support holds or not. That's definitely a big level that's in play. And I'm ambivalent. It could go either way. Looking healthy. I think we're going to see further continued weakness on all yen pairs. We'll see. They're getting back up into this range over here, especially the euro, Japanese yen. Is there any type of way to look for entry on there? Or was it missed? Let's take a look. Yep. You had this double support down here. And this was the beautiful entry. You're up towards this resistance right now. You got to wait to see if she's able to get back above it and then look for a possible entry. Right now, there's no play on the euro, Japanese yen. It's hard to play the pound Canadian dollar as you have the Canadian dollar strengthening this morning, but the pound is also super strong. You could see that was beautiful. I wasn't long it. Anyone who was long it, the time to take profit was right before the meeting of the central bank, as price was trading up along that resistance. I'm looking here long at the Australian dollar, US dollar, only because I see the Australian dollar strengthening up. I see the things flowing towards some type of phase one deal playing out, and that benefits here. The Aussies were above. We tested this support successfully, and we're trading above here. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking right up here. If we get up there, I'll move my stop to break even, watch what happens. Pound US dollar and pound everything looks really good. The question is, what do you do now? Are you chasing it? Obviously, we're not going to chase after this. We'll wait for a full pullback and a successful test of the breakout to see if it's possible to take any further positions. Same thing with the pound Japanese yen. Same exact thing. This looks really good, especially now with the Japanese yen weakness developing. Looks like you got a couple hundred pips up before you run into some resistance. This was interesting how before we started seeing, while we were seeing dollar weakness this morning, we also saw the support being held before that little bit of dollar strength came in. And you saw here the support held. And that's why we always assume the support and resistance are going to hold until they don't. Oh, beautiful. Awesome. Yeah. So absolutely. Alberto, my only concern is that as we continue to work together and everyone grows, that I don't want anyone who's just joining us to get left behind. And of course, there are certain parts of the day where things are a little more active, but aside from that, there's always plenty of time. And I'm happy to take the time. Everyone here, I believe, would be more than happy to answer questions. I'm happy to take the time and to really just help you understand whatever it is you have a question with, because that's only going to get you up to speed quicker. It's only going to help develop you as a trader. And then we have a lot more back and forth in the relationship where you're able eventually to be helping us and pointing out things. And it just really works well that way. Anyway, whatever is on your mind, wherever you're at, wherever you're starting with, I'm happy to help explain what it is we're doing and how we're doing it. DXY, there was a question. Hanero. Market was moving today. You have to be aware of that. So that's good. You have to be really cautious about taking trades with a take profit of 12 pips though, right? It's very difficult to trade successfully for a long time trading off of short time frames. You have to be aware of that. All right. Paul, let's take a look at the DXY. Kind of blew through the level we were looking at yesterday to the downside, which was up here. And then where it's entered into this, yep, there's the support, and it's trading right back above it right now. It entered into this supply zone down here. You have really much firmer support down a little bit lower, and this was a supply zone. I'll make a blue box just so you could all see it. All right, so we have support, this light support over here, this bigger support, and this is definitely a supply zone. And I have to say, we were pretty much going into the news, we were in line with what we expected to happen. And again, we just kind of throw out there what we perceive is happening in the markets as a baseline. We're going to react to what is happening, but our baseline was, unless there was a big miss here, unless this number came in as a big miss, that the market was then going to not take out any further resistance or support levels, and was going to start ranging and being looking forward to this number, right? So that's exactly what's playing out. Although there was a miss here, this is a slight miss. This wasn't a big number. Had this been, we would have, I believe, saw really much further dollar weakness. Hanera, I like that about you. I believe that you have a pretty good skill set, a good gift of being able to recognize the state of the market. And that's something I want to encourage. You know, you have to be able to know if the market is trending or if it's ranging. You have to know if the market is moving with velocity. It's the only time you want to trade short time frames, when the market is moving. But I do want to also just throw out there, you have to be really careful looking and taking trades off for such small gains and losses. It's difficult. And it's kind of, Hanera is kind of similar to, just throw it out there. What you really want to develop is the ability of your mind to be able to kind of like see what is happening, and then for it to play out. And as I was following gold, again, I saw what was happening. I before those numbers came out at 10 o'clock, I wanted to actually take a short position and then just have my stop back up here. I didn't do it. It would have been the wrong thing to do, even though the trade worked out. Reason being, much more, as you know, for practicing that patience, right? That's what pays off on your account. That's what really pays off, by really just waiting and taking the setups that are what you're looking for, that have the good risk to reward, or off support and resistance, or on the chart patterns that we trade off of. Overall, that's what pays out, and that's what works out. And again, the fewer trades you take, the fewer better trades you take, the better your P&L is going to be. Yep. So, and that's the whole thing, though, is impatience does not work out well for making a success out of trading. And so that's just where we're going to focus in and work on. listen, if markets always moved and moved fast, me right with you. I love that. I love being able to trade in that type of environment. I thrive off of it. I do really well in it. I excel in it. But what I've learned is being able to really assess the market and know when to trade and not to trade. I know that by trading off the higher time frame and taking my time, that I make more money. And you'll see. We have next week. We have some Wednesday and Thursday. We have central bank announcements. That's the time to really look for scalping. Alberto, again, if there's anything on your mind, please let us know. We're all about it. Hey, could you guys hear me right now, or am I disconnected? Are you guys able to hear my audio right now, or are we disconnected? Okay. And are you looking at the pound Japanese yen? Okay, awesome. There's a lot of cover then, a lot of comments you guys made. The stream is showing it's not a good connection on my side, but perfect. I'm going to keep going with it then. First of all, that quote from Trading in the Zone is wow. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's so true. That's like reading those words is better than like tasting some delicious dessert or food or something like that. Pound New Zealand dollar. Really? Is the pound making some nice gains on the New Zealand dollar? Pound is nice everywhere this morning. New Zealand dollar is holding up pretty well, I would say. You're trading at some resistance here on the pound New Zealand dollar. All right, we're still in this long. You could see that the pound has broken out against everything today, except the Australian dollar, and even less so than the New Zealand dollar. Okay, you have to notice that the pound versus the yen, the pound versus the dollar, the pound versus everything except the New Zealand dollar is not breaking out here. to the upside out of this, what looks like a really long extended bull flag, and also with the Australian dollar. You can see that it's just reached the top, but it hasn't broken out to the top side like the other ones. What does that mean? That means the New Zealand dollar is pretty strong, and you probably want to play the pound versus things that are weaker. And you could see also right here, if you look at it, as the pound is overextended, you could see that you could see some resistance up here. You could see it, right? You see that support broken, but it's support, resistance, support, and we're trading right at it right now. All right. So if the pound is able to go ahead and continue and get above this current resistance it's at, then it looks like maybe it even has a chance to break out of this bull flag to the upside. Or the New Zealand dollar might be able to reverse this right here. Go with the pairs that are offering the opportunity, that are really showing. If the pound is strong, look what's weak against it. New Zealand dollar is putting up a nice fight. Alberto, we're definitely getting into that right now in one moment. Let's take a look first at oil over here, and look at this. It's even continued now. It's broken through this trend line, which was offering resistance now. And now you have this overhead resistance right here. This is a nice supply area. It's got a lot of work to do. If it clears it to the upside here, it's able to get above, and then don't chase it. Wait for the pullback. Look, you got some nice potential on the upside. It's got a lot of work to do right now. It is trading at lots of resistance levels, and it's late in the day. What'd you say? There's OPEC meeting tomorrow, all day tomorrow. I don't know if that's on the calendar or not. Yep, OPEC meetings. And she's trading at a big resistance level. So down here was the support. This is where it's hard to play it, right? This was no man's land for as far as I was concerned. But this is where you're looking now to take profits, not looking to take any type of long positions. If you're in this, right, this is a take profit area into this heavy resistance over here. If it breaks out to the upside, well, then you have time to get long. All right. Alberto, you're looking to know how to draw in the trend lines. We're going to do that. And the only thing we're doing first is taking a look at gold, because there's a couple of questions about what's going on, what to do, why did it react the way that it reacted. All right. And all right. As far as what to do right now, and I really wanted to get into gold. I really did. I have not been able to do it. And let's just take a moment, take a step back and look what's going on. All right. So what's in play is this resistance over here, this red line, and that resistance is right now holding. The question Hanero is asking is, well, how did it hold? Why is the US dollar strengthening after these numbers, since this number came in bad? All right. This number the market focused on this morning because it was really bad. You could see that it came in really, really, really disappointing, which is why the market really moved off it. You saw a weak dollar as a result. Then the next thing the market wanted to focus in on was this number. Before we even got close to this, we were discussing, unless it was a big miss, all right, that the market would probably kind of level out, trade in a range, and be looking towards this number now on Friday because of this big miss over here. So now the market wants to see whether this was like an anomaly, or are we going to get a big miss here as well? And if we get a big miss here, then it looks like the US dollar is going to take out some more levels and really be weak. But this number, it was slightly off, but it was more or less in line. It wasn't a big miss. Definitely wasn't even a big beat, but it's pretty close to what the forecast was. All right. So that's not really, the market's not worried about it. Had it been a big miss, the market would be worried about it. So right now, what you're seeing happening in the US dollar is, and again, we did say, what time is it? About 20 minutes ago, we said probably we're going to see the dollar bottom out right about here within the next 10 minutes and then trade back up into this range after the London close. That's what's happening. We expect the market is pretty much going to be ranging right now, especially the rest of this day, and probably until Friday, until we get those numbers. I don't expect the dollar to go ahead and take out this resistance level up here to the upside, or probably not even to the downside either. I expect it'll be ranging until Friday's non-farm payroll numbers come out, and then we get the next direction. So it wasn't really, you didn't really see dollar strength, Hanero. What you just saw was these numbers were in line, and it wasn't enough. If they were a big miss, the market would have took out another level. But right now, we're just kind of on hold waiting for the next numbers to develop. So what does that mean for gold right now? Well, same thing. Gold is kind of in a holding pattern, right? You could get another look at this resistance over here. It's possible you get another look at this resistance, and if it's rejected again, and then you start making a lower low on the 8-hour time frame, and if it's during a good session during London or New York, you could go ahead and you could, get the possibility to get short gold. Until we close above this resistance level to the upside, probably not going to happen before Friday, especially now that yesterday you had this big up move on gold, and that was because of the perceived tension in the trade wars, which is now kind of been relieved a little bit. So you don't really have that factor into gold. Gold's got to close above this line here, this resistance. Bull's got to take this resistance, take control above 1481, and then you wait for the pullback and test to get long. And then it's great. There's a lot of room here to play. But right now that's not happening. And I would just be looking to see if you got another test of this resistance to the upside and then wait to get short. But right now you don't want to be in a trading gold. You're just hanging out near this line, and you got a big number coming out that the market's focused on Friday. So you don't want to be in gold right now, but you want to be waiting and watching what's happening. As far as drawing our trend lines, let's take a look at that. All right. First things first, we're looking here on the Euro-US dollar because she's really marked up really well. And I want you to see what it is we're seeing. Now, what we tend to use is support and resistance. Okay, supports are marked green and resistance are marked red. Okay, support is below, resistance is overhead, up high. Are you with me, Alberto? I just want to make sure that while we're going over this portion, we could always timestamp it for you and you go back to the replay. Okay. I just wanted to timestamp it anyway. All right. So we're looking for support, resistance, and trend lines. We're not going to get into things like triangles right now because there's not one here. And we could just start little by little. And what we're looking to do is always trade off of support to buy off supports, sell off resistance. Okay. Now, how do you place these lines in? I'm going to pull up a blank chart and do it with you from scratch. And I'm also going to show you these channels that we look at, these trend lines over here. All right, I'm going to show you all of those and in a minute, you're going to know how to do this yourself. All right, we always use the daily time frame when doing this. All right, I'm just going to take us back in a second. This trend line over here, Alberto, this is the one we started live streaming on. This is where I'm going to start right now. All right, and you could see this trend line over here. Now, when you're drawing a trend line, you tend to it's better not to start at the wicks, and it's not black and white. We'll move to the Euro Japanese yen next, and you'll see that that sometimes the wicks come into play. But you're looking for the open or the closes. So I'm starting here at the opening of this price bar down here, and I could extend this line upwards. Okay, when could you draw this in? Well, once you got this touch down over here, and then price was trading up, and another touch over here especially, well, then it was really evident that there was a trend line here. And I'm going to show you in real time in a minute when this one was at. You'll see in 1 second. All right. So that's the basis of the trend line here. On the upside, if you go ahead and copy it and paste it, you could see that it was trading within this channel. You had once you had 1, 2 touches, you could draw it in, right? There broke, but came back into the channel, was respected again. When price and price was in this channel when we were began trading together. So you're only looking to trade off of this support. Okay, when price comes down and tests this channel within it, it's support. So you're looking to buy as close as you can to this support until it's broken. Once it's broken, it becomes resistance. You could see here on the 8-hour. When price broke down out of it, it came back up, and that broken support is then resistance. All right. Now, that's this one trend line. That's this one trend line and this one channel we have here. How do you draw horizontal support and resistance? All right. If you take a step back, I'm on the pound New Zealand dollar. No, I'm on the Euro US dollar. What you want to do is look for multiple points of where price has touched and it's either been support or resistance. For example, where could we see clear support and resistance? Well, look up here. You have 2 resistances. You see price came up here twice. So just put your mouse there and have a line and then look back forward. Do you see any other touches to this line? All right. You see right here was another touch that was resistance. You see over here in between this area, price held that as support. And then I see over here, this was resistance. Okay. And now on the upside of the same line, look up here, it held as support. It held as support. It held as support over here and resistance back there. So you can see that's an important line where both to the upside and downside, it's either been support or resistance. Okay. So again, you have the line here. It touched. Over here, it was holding as support. Over here, it was resistance. And then again, support. What happens if you go back further? You see further touches of support. So that's an important line. That's why you add that line in. It's a line of currently above us. So it's currently red as resistance. And it's something that as price gets closer to, it's going to focus in on. All right. What about any other ones? Do you see any other time that the market is doing that? Well, what about right over here? I see this touching here. If you keep following out this this trend line, this horizontal line over here, you could see over here it held the support, was broken, touched as resistance, broken, and then came back down. Over here, it's support, held as resistance. You see multiple touches. So that's a line you're interested in having up on there. All right. What about supports to the downside? Do you see any multiple touches? You have these two down here. All right. Let me start with my mouse. You see over here where I have this horizontal line. I see it's touching over here. It held the support. It's touching over here. It held the support. I go back a little further. You see this spike down. It held as support. And right before that, it was resistance. Okay, go back a little further. There's a couple of touches over here. And then right over to here, there's another one. So you could see this is a line that comes into play. Right now, it's broken. So this is, if we start trading back down to the downside, this is a support line we want to look at. What about right over here? You could see these sloping lines. See this line and this line. All right. This was a channel we were just trading in. You could see it on the downside as well. We were selling off of over here in this area, Alberto. This trend line, it wasn't actually even in yet. Let me take this out. When price was over here, we saw this resistance above us. And that's why we were looking to take sells, right? Of course, we drop down to the 8 hour. We look at the true trend as a guide, but you have this resistance overhead. And until it breaks, you assume it's going to hold. Once it was rejected and price went down, now we had 2 points to add as a trend line. And we went ahead and we drew this trend line in. We had these 2 points to connect. And now we had a channel. And until price broke to the upside, we assumed that this channel was going to hold. Over here, we would have been looking to sell if price would have took us in by making lower lows and this trend line was rejected. This upper channel support over here, resistance, if it had been rejected and price went down, we would have took that trade, but it broke to the upside. And now this is what we're looking at as support. This is down lower. All right. You know, it's not a science. It's more of an art, drawing in support and resistance. All right. And you could see this over here. I had this lighter line drawn in over here as my lower end of this channel. You could see the channel. Look at these lines I've drew up here, connecting these two. Down here, you have these 3 big areas. And I had this lower line drawn in. And then you could see the wick down here, the price came down here. So I also have this lower channel now drawn in as support. You could see today that the upper one was drawn in, but what I'm trying to say is it's not a science. It's an art, okay? It's a little bit subjective on where you connect the points to and how you do it, and you use them as guides. They're not absolutes. This guides you want to trade off of. I'm trying to look to see overhead why this line is drawn in over here, this blue line. You could see over here, you had this holding as support. It then broke, held as resistance. It broke, held as support, broke again, came back up, and then it held. And then you could see it over here holding as support and again as resistance. And then it's resistance. So this is a line that I'm just watching to see how price reacts around it. To the downside also over here, this line you could see a little more clearly. You can see this resistance. And then I have this holding as support. So I have that line in here. We'll look at them both. So really quick, and just to finish this with this, Alberto, and then answer that one question you had, Hanera. If you could go ahead and pull up a chart of any pair you want on the daily time frame and draw in it as best you could, whatever support and resistance and trend lines you see, Alberto, and then take a screenshot of it and send it to me. I'll be happy to take a look at it and review it and tell you whether or not you're seeing them, and then point out any others that perhaps you were missing. But that would be the best way to start, for you to pull up the daily time frame of any pair, add support and resistance as you see it, and then I'll take a look at it and help confirm it with you. Tanero, give me an example of what you're looking at. There was one pair that I know that we had a long sloping line on, and I guess it's going to be the New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. This is going up in several months back, a year back, not towards the high. And a trend line like this, that for so long has held on so many occasions, when it breaks, it's usually going to keep going, which is why I'm so interested here in the New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. That has just been, for quite a while, a trend line that has been really holding and is now broken. So yeah, I do look for long-term trend lines. They are powerful. Pound US dollar saw a big breakout today. Pound, almost everything has saw nice breakouts today. So you saw the breakout, right? You see the breakout has occurred today. You see this huge up bar, and now you want to get involved, right? Because you want to be a part of that. All right. So the worst thing you could possibly do right now would be to buy this. You're just buying into really overbought price action on a break. And although it's possible this could continue going up, this could maybe even take out today's high. In the long, it's really poor. It's low profitability to chase after this. But you really want to be focused now watching this and what's going to happen. All right, now's the time to go down to the 8 hour, and you can see, look how overbought you are. You have a reading on the true trend of over 300 is really high. All right, then usually you see pullbacks after that. You have the entry CCI overbought in the uptrend on a breakout. It's just screaming, don't buy, because you're chasing price if you buy up here. Now, what you need to do is now wait, and you need to wait for the entry CCI to come back oversold against this uptrend. And that's going to prevent you from going ahead and chasing after price. All right. The closer we come down, the better look we get at this breakout, and come down and test it to see if that broken resistance now holds. You got, this is like 7-8 weeks of consolidation here after this long, big move. You have a pretty big deal next week on the 12th. You have elections on the UK. That's really going to shape what happens next. But the pound is making its move technically. And that means if we get a pullback here, if price pulls back, the closer it comes down, the better towards this broken resistance, because it should hold this support. And then if price resumes upwards, that's an opportunity to get back into that pair. You're better off just waiting now. You do not want to chase this. You do not want to be buying up at these levels. You want to be, if you were in this trade, or people that took the breakout, they're taking maybe a little bit off the table over here. Okay. You don't want to be taking any buys over here. You want to wait this out, and it's too soon. Let's give it a day or two, see what happens. Alberto, pick up any pair on the daily time frame. All right. Start drawing in as you see them, the support and the resistance, any trend lines you see, and send me the screenshot. I'll be happy to take a look. And also in everything, of course, everyone, like if you want to know something, we all search it, and you could just find out whatever information you want about it. That's how we all learn. So as far as pullbacks go, Alice, and it's really important, but it's, you know, before we even talk about pullbacks, what I want to talk about is support and resistance. All right. Because what we're doing is we're taking trades off of support and resistance levels. You're taking pullbacks off of the support and resistance levels. You're not taking pullbacks in between no man's land. And let me just give you an example. This is the perfect example right here. Let's say that this is what you're seeing. All right. You're looking at this chart right here, right now. And you see that the true trend is down, it's negative, and you see the entry CCI is pulled back. If you haven't watched the video on the true trend indicator, this is really helpful for getting you into trades, and it's really helpful to stop you from chasing after trades. The video's in the description of this video, and you could just go ahead and click that link and follow it. But if you were over here and you noticed that you had short trade criteria because the entry CCI was overbought in this downtrend, all right, here's why you would not take this trade. And that's because look how close you are to this support level below you. And look how far away you are to the next resistance level. You're in no man's land, all right? You don't want to take trades when you're in no man's land. If you're looking to sell this, you can't sell a trade that's coming right into support. You want to be selling off of the resistance, right? So that would prevent you from taking this trade because you're in no man's land. You're so far away from a resistance level and you're so close to a support level, right? And that was a false signal. But look what happened as you got closer to this resistance level, all right? Then you had the opportunity to look for a short. We also had this resistance level drawn in up higher, all right? But you were towards this first resistance level we had down here. And I believe I got short right here as price started it was one of these two price bars, as price started resuming downwards off of this resistance level over here with another one above me. And it turned out not to be the best entry. This resistance level still held and my stop was above it. But then price came down again and it wound up being a wonderful trade where profit was taken somewhere around here on the support level. This was actually after Trump signed the Hong Kong bill and price had not broken through this support level. It was time to take profit. What I'm getting at is you sell off of resistance levels when the entry CCI is pulled back away from the trend. This is the ideal time to be looking to sell as the closer you are to resistance levels. Now, and you take profit if you're short towards support levels if they don't break. A lot of traders are following momentum, right? So they're actually selling down here. After they saw price move down, they're selling down here, but it's a support level. You don't want to sell into support. You want to be holding a trade short since the resistance level and watch what price does around the support level. Because when price breaks a support level, it usually breaks it with some authority. Like here's this trend line we had drawn in here. And as we came close to it, I was looking to see if we could sell off it. If this trend line was going to hold as resistance. And if price resumed downwards, I would have sold off it. And then I would have looked towards this support to see if I took profit or not. But price blew through it. And that's what happens. Price tends to take out resistance and support levels with some authority. And it blew past it and it came out right to this next resistance level. And then it's held it and it got up to this next one. Now we're trading between these two areas and we probably will be trading between them until Friday. If we get above this resistance level to the upside, we can begin looking for longs on the euro US dollar. Okay. Right now, I'm not looking to sell because price is now, ever since it broke this trend line here, it's bullish. The true trend is bullish. It's bullish because it broke this trend line. And I don't want to also buy over here because I have a resistance level right above me. Okay. So there's really, the risk to reward is very poor. The closer we came down towards this trend line over here, which is offering support, well, then I'll be looking to buy if we get down over here. Adversely, if the bulls could make some further gains and get above it, well, then it opens up some topside room, and my risk reward got a lot better, and I could look to take longs. Not on the break, on the pullback and test of the broken resistance will be support. So pullbacks are pullbacks into, when you're selling, pullbacks into resistance, you look to sell. When you're buying, pullbacks into support. Is that the URL right there? Is that correct? I might not be able to view someone else's chart like that. You could take a screenshot, right? If you're on a Mac, it is number 4, Shift and Command, and go ahead and just upload it to postimages.org and then share that link. Yep, that's the best way to do it. Or you could probably take a snapshot just on TradingView for us to take a look at whatever it is you want to share and send the link. We got a trade developing on the pound, US dollar, Canadian dollars. Take a look at that, and I'm glad that you're seeing that support over here. That's what you're looking at, right? So let's focus in on here. First, just let me give you a quick view from the daily. And on the daily time frame, you can see that we're coming along towards this support. We also have this trend line support over here. Tries to trading below it. And you want to know if you should buy now. Well, you definitely, as it is on your radar, you want to now look at this pair. And this is something that you want to consider buying, but only if that support holds. And we don't know right now whether or not it's going to hold or not. This is keying off of the Bank of Canada today, keeping rates on hold. And it's trading down to this support level. So the only way that you will enter this trade, there's 2 ways that you enter this trade. Number 1 is when on the 8-hour time frame, price makes a higher high than the previous price bar. All right. So it's not going to happen during New York, right? You're not going to see price make a higher high than over here. Okay. During Asia, you do not want to enter unless it is an announcement from the Bank of Japan or the Central Bank of Australia or New Zealand Central Bank, and you're trading off of that. You do not want to take signals during Asia because they tend to be false signals and are low probability. They're the worst session to trade. If this occurs during London, where this was not broken, this support over here was not broken, and then price during London is making a higher high than it did during the high of Asia, well, then that's a really good entry to enter. That's a really good signal to take. And that's the first possibility you'll have at entering it. So that means that this support would have had to have held, and then price needs to be resuming bouncing off of it by making a higher high than the previous price bar, either during London or New York. And then you have, you have a trade off of this support. Now, this could break, the support could break down, and you'd probably see maybe the Canadian dollar even run past that break and maybe even run down towards this area over here, where you could see this is another support and that was resistance. You could see it, and maybe price will run all the way down there right away, and then probably it'll bounce off a little bit. And then it's on the retest of this broken support over here. It's on the retest of this broken support that you would look then, if price resumed downwards, to be looking to short it. So you're at an inflection point. It's a really high probability sometime in the next 24 hours there's a trade entry on this trade, and it could be long or short. You're looking for the support to hold right now. You have to wait for price to take you back into that trade. Anera, where did you send that chart to? Because I never, this trade is going into favor now. I never got to get into the trade. I was having a problem there and I never got into it. I'm just gonna have to stand aside, even though it seems to now, be going into favor. Had I gotten into it, I would have wait up into here to look, to reassess, to move my stop loss to break even and see how price reacted up down over there. My stop would have been down over here, even though the trade now would have been slightly falling into my favor. I never got into it. The link's not showing up. Could you enter that same link again and maybe put a space or put it without the www? Or Hanero, if you're able to send that over to my Twitter real quick, that would be awesome as well. Paul, have a wonderful day. I'm not going to be able to catch up with you tomorrow. I'm traveling tomorrow morning. Um, and again, I don't know what's going to happen, whether or not I'll be able to have some time up in the air if I'm able to get a small 20-minute overview of what's going on and what I'm seeing in the markets or not. But I think we're really focused in on Friday. Friday was going to shed some light, and the market's probably really looking to the FOMC at this point after the really disappointing numbers this morning on the miss on the ADP non-farm payrolls. We'll take a look right now at the euro. Hanero, I don't know why it's not coming through. I looked on the community settings. It's not even holding links, but the links are not coming through. Shoot it over as a direct message to my Twitter, and then I'll pull it up on the live stream. All right, so now we simply have the euro coming down and testing this support level it's at right now. Now, here's where it gets interesting. If we could see between now and Friday any move lower over here, that becomes really interesting. Becomes interesting because, I'll just draw this. We got that little support line over here. And you have this trend line, broken trend line over here. So if this comes back and tests anywhere near here, well, then this looks like a great opportunity to take a look at a long if we resume up off it, because our stop is so well defined. As far as doing anything right now before Friday, being stuck in between no man's land, a really poor risk to reward ratio. You have to get the stop all the way down here. If you started resuming upwards right here and you had to stop really tight over here, odds are it's going to get hit. And odds are you're not going to clear this before Friday. So it's kind of just wait now as we come back down and test this minor support level. And she's testing a support level right now. I want to see what that looks like on the DXY. And she's trying to get back up into this zone over here. But she's also testing. This is a broken support level. This is a resistance level right now that it's in. Price is testing this resistance level right here. So just I would expect price to trade up a tiny bit off of here. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I hope it gets down over here by Friday. Only because it would provide for a nice possible long entry. And there, I'll check that in a second. Yeah, so it was 11 o'clock Eastern time. It was about 10 minutes before then, 10 minutes before the London close, that we noted that should be the end of and excuse me, that should be it for the day's move. And I don't think we're going to see anything else the rest of the day since. I'm interested to see what happens with this pound pairs, though. Do they come off a little bit, or are they able to go ahead and test back towards the highs? Beautiful. All right, this is, oh, great. We're looking at the British pound over here now, and excellent. This is great, Hanero. First of all, you nailed the resistance right over here. You have the touch over here. This was, you could see that was providing support and then resistance. You got that big resistance over here and over here, and that is the target to look up ahead. So that's an excellent share right over there. And then you have clearly the other one up here above as well. On the downside, you have this now broken resistance, should be support. And you could see this resistance coming all the way back and was tested over here multiple times as well. And then you have this nice support drawn in very well also over here. This is absolutely perfect, textbook, nice lines, and also gives a nice little heads up to anyone who's in this trade right here of where they're looking for take profit. And what you're looking for, if you're not in this trade right now, is you're not looking obviously to buy up here towards the top of this range. You're waiting for any type of pullback down lower. Awesome, Blair. Appreciate it. I know tomorrow's a big day as far as you oil guys are concerned. BTC did have a big move. It was a $600 move. I'm not sure exactly why. Maybe the Fed was doing some type of Bitcoin repo today. That's also it for me too today. I really enjoyed all of you guys, as I do always. I'm traveling tomorrow, but I will catch up with you all soon. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thank you. Thanks, Mark. You got wrecked. Yeah, the daily charts are definitely what we would look to trade off of. And then I personally dropped down to the 8-hour for a little bit better of a more precision entry. Hey, everyone. I'll talk to you later.